It's Thursday, July 30th, and here's what you need to know by noon. The war that widened this week now has a price tag. America says it will charge the world to use the Strait of Hormuz. Plus, the Fed held, but 3 of its own wanted to raise rates. Microsoft and Meta split the market in 2. Japan's earthquake toll has climbed past 20, and a Dallas landlord who says your property taxes are fraud, and what the courts have told him. Start with the war, because it grew again, and then it got a bill attached. Over the weekend, the fighting reached Saudi Arabia's own coast. Yemen's Houthis fired missiles and drones at 2 Saudi Aramco oil refineries, one at Zeihan, one at Yanbu, on the Red Sea. A column of smoke rose over Zeihan. Saudi Arabia hasn't described the damage. The strike at Yanbu was shot down by a Patriot battery, one operated by Greek forces. The Houthis called it retaliation for Saudi airstrikes on the port of Hodeidah. No deaths were reported. That's a new front. It sits on top of what we told you yesterday. American and Saudi jets hitting Iran-backed militias in eastern Iraq, and Iran firing ballistic missiles at a base in Jordan, which were intercepted. Then came the bill. President Trump declared the United States the, quote, guardian of the Strait of Hormuz, and said America will now charge a 20% fee on all cargo shipped through it as payment for keeping the waterway open. His words, we can't be expected to do that for nothing. The strait, he said, stays open, with or without Iran. About 1/5 of the world's oil moves through Hormuz. Markets reacted at once. Brent crude jumped about 9% on the announcement, its biggest single day in years, and it's sitting near $90 a barrel this morning, still below the 100+ we saw in March, but climbing. And shipping traffic through the strait fell by half in a single week. Here's the frame worth holding. The analyst Peter Zeihan, who once ran forecasting at the intelligence firm Stratfor, has warned for weeks of a summer oil crunch, arguing American shale can't replace Gulf barrels fast enough if Hormuz seizes up. He may be right, but there's a real case the other way. When the strait briefly reopened this month, the U.S. Energy Information Administration actually raised its production forecast, and some analysts cut their price targets. So, a genuine risk and a genuine argument about it, not a settled crisis. Now the money story, and it's really one story in 3 parts. Part 1, the Fed. Yesterday afternoon, the Federal Reserve left its key interest rate exactly where it's been since December, a range of 3.5% to 3.75%. But the vote broke in a way it hasn't in a while. 3 of the Fed's regional bank presidents dissented, and they weren't asking for a cut. They wanted an immediate hike, with inflation still running hot. Part 2. The market had already flinched. On Tuesday, the Dow fell about 1,100 points, its worst day since April of last year, on that exact fear, that the Fed is falling behind on inflation. Part 3. Then the 2 biggest names in tech reported, after the bell, and split down the middle. Microsoft beat, and beat clearly, $90 billion in revenue, its Azure cloud business now running past $100 billion a year. Meta beat on sales but missed on profit, and its stock slid on softer guidance and the sheer amount it's spending to build artificial intelligence. That's the thread tying all 3 together. Inflation the Fed can't shake, and an AI build-out Wall Street is starting to question the cost of. 2 more, then a story close to home for some of you. Japan first. The earthquake that struck Kyushu on Tuesday has turned deadlier. As of this morning, at least 23 people are confirmed dead, and a police tally puts it at 28. The government cautions some of those may yet prove unrelated. 63 people are hurt, 5 seriously. Rescuers are now past the 72-hour mark, the window where survival odds drop sharply, still pulling people from a collapsed Ion Mall, where 6 are confirmed dead, and a paper factory, where 8 died. It was a magnitude 7.1. Now property taxes, and a fight in Texas worth understanding, because a version of it is happening almost everywhere. 2 years ago, Dallas homeowners opened appraisal notices that had jumped tens of thousands of dollars, some values nearly doubling, in a market that wasn't moving nearly that fast. That part is real, and it's documented. Local reporting found single-family values up $70,000 to $200,000, commercial property up about 21%, while the appraisal district's own chief appraiser didn't answer questions about it. Part of the cause is a Texas quirk. The state doesn't disclose home sale prices, so appraisers are chasing the market half-blind. Into that anger steps a Dallas landlord named Mitch Wexler, who has turned it into a crusade. He calls the valuations outright fraud, calls the whole system unconstitutional, and says it's going to collapse. And he's taken that to court, to podcasts, and to a media campaign built to earn coverage exactly like this. Here's the part his website leaves out. The courts haven't agreed. His case climbed all the way to the Texas Supreme Court, which turned it back, and he's now asking it to reconsider. So the grievance underneath is real, and a lot of people share it. The specific charge, fraud, is one man's claim, and so far the judges aren't buying it. That's Thursday, caught up. A price tag on the Strait of Hormuz, a divided Fed, a split in big tech, a rising toll in Japan, and a Texas fight over what your home is worth. We keep it straight, and we keep it quick. This is No by Noon. See you tomorrow.